Hello and welcome to Thrive and Grow, the series that helps you and empowers you to be the best that you can. In this series, we bring in people who are experienced, who are experts in their own field, who have a wide range of knowledge, and they will guide us with their experience and tell us how to go about things. And probably this will help throw a lot more light on how we should be doing things. So, this is the third in our series. We've already had two before this. And today's topic is very interesting. It's something which is very relevant for all of us because all of us go out and shop at some point or the other. And all of us for the last almost 4 months have really not gone out to shop. So there's a big question as to what's the future of retail. What happens as far as retail is concerned? Is it dead forever? Over the last 4 or 5 months, we've practically done everything online, whether it is banking, shopping, just about everything has been done online. But the question is, we had a choice earlier whether to do it online or not. And for the last 5 months, there was no choice. When this COVID pandemic, I wouldn't say goes away, but I would say the severity dies down. Okay, we don't really know when the vaccine is going to be out and when it will really be safe for us to go out in free abandon. So we will still need to be careful. The question is, what happens to the shops? What happens to those who are in retail? And to deal with all such questions, we have with us a very dear and close friend of mine, Sanjeev Mehta. And Sanjeev has been, I'd like to get him on screen now. Yes, Sanjeev. Hello and welcome to Thrive and Grow. Good afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. And just for the audience, Sanjeev has spent a good part of his working life in various forms of retail businesses. He has worked with some of the very large companies, and he is here to share his experience with us and also tell us what is going to happen, and at least what is it that we need to do in terms of going forward. What is the future of retail, and is there a future in retail? What happens to the retailers? What happens to all the investments that have been made in retail? Are people never going to go back to shops? I mean, are we never going to have the pleasure of walking into a mall in gay abandon and just spending some time, window shopping, if that's what it is? But that all seems, very distant and very unlikely. And what happens to all those retailers and all those businesses that have invested in all of that? So, Sanjeev, before we start, I'd like you to tell us a little bit about your background, and I will bring this up on screen. Okay. So, we're going to talk about the post COVID retail, and just for the rest of the audience to know that Sanjeev has worked with some of the leading brands and multinational companies around the country. And I would like Sanjeev to tell us a little more about his background and what it is that he did in these companies before we move on to his actual presentation. Over to you, Sanjeev.
Thank you. Well, let's start with Cadbury. This is way back in 1990. A lot of people of our age and our generation, so to speak, I don't know which gen we were. Now it's called Gen Y or Gen Z or whatever. But we would remember a brand called Dollops Ice Cream, which started off in 1990 and was then acquired by Unilever in 1993, if I remember correctly. So I joined up with Cadbury's into sales, then got into marketing of Dollops, and then we were acquired by Unilever in 1993, end of 93. At that time, it was a company called Brook Bond Lipton India Limited, which was actually a tea company, but then the foods became a part of it, which was Wall's Ice Cream. I spent about a year there, and then I joined Kodak. Kodak, of course, as everyone knows, used to be the world's largest photo company in those days. In Kodak, I did several roles. Started off as Kodak Express manager, which was the franchise chain. We had almost, by the time I gave up that job, we had almost 1,500 all over India. I also handled several product groups. I handled South Asia, which is the SAARC countries, as country manager. So Kodak was a wonderful company. Unfortunately, it lost its way, and it's all history now. Everybody knows. But the kind of experience one got in Kodak was phenomenal. After which I joined Reliance Infocom as head of strategy and franchising for Reliance Web Store. So again, that was actually the start of the telecom revolution with Reliance. This was Mukesh Ambani and Anil. At that time, they were together. The company called Reliance Infocom, and My brief was to roll out a whole chain of about 277 sorry, it was 777 stores, which we did about 200 odd in 2 years. Now, these stores were fairly large format, starting with about 1,500 square feet, going up to 4,000, which had a broadband center, very early video conferencing, very early gaming in those. I'm talking about 2002, which is like 18 years ago. Today we can do video conferencing from our mobile phones. In those days, you had to go into a store to do it because it was connected with broadband fiber, etc. So that was, and again, it had to be Reliance with all the scale and everything which goes with it. So that was the Reliance experience. I then took a bit of a detour, so to speak, from retail, and I joined UTV. But it was in a way relevant because they wanted somebody with experience in distribution to set up a chain of movie distribution for them. So I think we were probably the first to set up a corporate structure in movie distribution, which we started with. We appointed non-film trade people across the country. The first movie I distributed was Swades. And through those 2 years, I distributed probably about 25, 26 movies, if I remember. I think the last one was Rang De Basanti in 2006. After which I started off my own business. I tied up with a company called Shopworks in the UK, which is still very much around, where we were doing retail design and research, etc., which again made good use of my experience. After which I collaborated with a company called SpaCeylon, which also is part of today's presentation towards the end, in terms of an example of a brand which has really done well on the world stage from a small country like Sri Lanka. And 2 years ago, I have associated with a company called GLIMMA, which is Global Image Management, in which we do brand implementation, brand creative, audits, surveys, etc. So again, very relevant to retail and all that goes with it. Yeah, so that's basically in a quick nutshell. I hope I haven't taken too long, but in a nutshell, what
it gives a perspective of where you've been and where you're coming from. In terms of working with these different companies and different products, there is this probably this perception that if you're into one type of retail business, either you're at one end of the spectrum which says that, hey, if you've sold one product, how different can it be to sell the other product? And then there's the other end of the spectrum which says, no, if you've sold one product, there is no way you understand about the other product. What's your personal opinion about, I mean, is it black and white, or are there shades of gray too?
Well, I don't think that's really true, because if you look at my experience, it started off with ice creams and it went to photography, which are completely chalk and cheese, if you like. Then it went to telecom, mobiles, it went to retail, and then to cosmetics, and again into services, which with GLIMMA. So not really. I think if you understand the basic principles of retail, how a store needs to look like, what are the ingredients, and I think we're going to talk about it today. It shouldn't be too difficult to switch from one product category to the other. Although yes, admittedly, a supermarket is a bit of a different ball game. It's a little more complex. Some of the principles of retail they're not different, but they are sort of modified or tweaked in a supermarket kind of environment. But otherwise, they're pretty much the same. I mean, visual merchandising, retail, the store planning, signages, show windows, etc. It is pretty much the same.
Okay, and I think that's what you're going to go through right now. So
yes,
I will leave the floor to you, and please feel free to say next, and I'll move the slide over. So let's go over to the presentation, and there it is. Okay, so this is over to you, Sanjeev.
Yeah. Okay, so today's presentation is a bit of both, actually, although the topic talks about COVID. And I think today we are faced with, and I'll just give a bit of a preface before I start. We are faced with a dilemma, really, because it's 6 months now. I mean, in the month of March, everybody thought it'll be over in 2 months or something, and everything would be back to normal. But we are in the 6th month now. We are in September, and things are not really going where they should have gone. Our economy is down by 25%, which is also arguable. Some people say 30, some say 20, but at the end of the day, it's a huge crash. Retailers have been badly impacted. I think along with the airline and the tourism and travel industry, the retailers are probably the worst affected. At least the airlines are working. The retailers, most of them, not even open now. So I think that what you mentioned about, is it going to be business as usual? Are we going to be able to go to stores as we did before? I think, of course, yes, because we all like to go out. We like to go out for to watch movies, for meals, to go to good restaurants, to roam around malls, even if you don't shop. So that stage will come back. It will definitely come back. How soon, I cannot say. I don't think anyone in this world can predict that. But probably, if I were to just give a range, I would say anywhere between 6 to, I would say, even 18 months for things to come back to normal. Um,
Wow, that's a long
yeah,
time.
yeah, because if I look at, see, we have customers in GLIMMA who are department stores, their cinemas. All the cinemas are closed. They are completely shut across the country. The department stores are, some of them are open. I would say only 20 or 25% are open. The footfalls they're getting are probably about 30 or 30, little more than 30%. I'll give you one example. I'd just gone to a Bata store just about 2 weeks ago, and it was the first day of Ganpati, just here in Bandra. And I was the only customer, and they have a huge store. It's 1, 2, 3. It's like three levels. I was the only customer in the store, and it was like late morning. So when I picked up my shoes, etc., and then I asked the guy, I said, what's your what's happening here? So he said, we have 15% footfalls. 15% is our revenue from what it was. Our staff strength has come down from, I think he said, 12, and we're saying we have 4 of us are managing the store. um, I didn't even ask him how much rent he's paying or how much of the rent he's paying, but this is the situation. So yeah, it is tough. But on the other hand, if you look at what has happened with e-commerce has grown in this period of 5 months, and this is, again, these are authentic figures which I'm quoting, because this is in SpaCeylon. We sell online. We are in touch with the Amazons and Nikas of the world. They're, compared to last year, they're up 60 to 70% for the same month,
Wow.
which
Yeah,
is huge. I mean,
that's because everyone, what they were buying in the store, they're buying it online.
exactly, which is understandable. I mean, you're sitting at home. I mean, if I look at my apartment building, and I'm sure everybody will understand this. Everybody is, you go down to your lobby, because most buildings are not allowing the delivery boys to go up. Every time I go down to my building lobby, there are like 6 or 7 Amazon packages waiting for the members to come and collect them, which is,
Yeah.
yeah, which is a fact. I mean, people are just buying, everything on Amazon, or Nika, or Flipkart, or all these online sites, Big Basket, and blah blah, whatever. So yeah, so coming back to what will happen to retail. What is going to happen in the past, in the past 6 months, what has happened and what's going to happen the next few months? Those brands who don't have deep pockets, or don't have the wherewithal to afford to pay all these rents, even if they're paying 50%, they're paying part of the salaries. All these brands will have to start closing stores. They'll have to downsize out of no choice. I mean, you really can't blame them. We are in a pandemic situation. A lot of the cinemas will close. A lot of the malls will close down in the short term. How many will open is again a question mark. But at least the bigger malls, there will be, traditionally you would have called it a shakeout if there's something else that happened. But a lot of the bigger malls will probably survive. So in Bombay, if I were to make a forecast again, I would say that an Inorbit, Infinity, Oberoi Mall, Phoenix, these guys will probably be around. The other ones will fall by the wayside. And in Delhi, you'll see Ambience and City Walk Saket, and the Emporio and Vasant Kunj. All those will continue, but a lot of them will not. So that's unfortunately the fallout of what will happen. So yes, so this is what I think is going to happen. Retail will be back. People will be back going out with, to start off with, precautions and masks and sanitization and blah blah, all that. But I think it'll come back, and that's the time when I think retail will probably be in many ways better, because you'll get better
Wow.
value. You'll get better service. You'll get superior promotions, etc., because all retailers will want their customers to come back and start buying.
They will woo us back.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if you see what Amazon is doing now, Amazon is they've been doing these various weeks and sales and this day and that day and whatever. Next week, Amazon has this. I think they're calling it a professional beauty luxe something, in which SpaCeylon is also participating, which is a week of promotions and discounts and stuff. Then again, they have a Diwali. Amazon's Diwali is going to be probably for almost 3 weeks to a month, the whole Diwali promo. So
Wow.
they're already planning. So
Amazon's Diwali is everyone else's Diwala. Yeah. So no, but jokes apart, the way the online thing is going, and coming back to how we would be able to do this, and what is it that retail stores really need to look out for? Yeah.
Yes.
So so shall we go ahead with this?
Yep. So 3 principles. Let's go to the first one. So this is basically 3 principles, and this is very basic retail principles. This is a bit of gyan, if you like, but it's more than relevant today, because for every retailer you have to keep growing. You have to grow. I would say every year anywhere between 10 to 15% is what the thumb rule should be. So drive growth and maximize sales. Important to understand the customer journey. Which stores are the customers shopping at? If they're not shopping at your store, where are they going? What do they want? And then flowing from that is planning for the best use of space. As we know, we pay rent for every square inch of our space. We actually pay more. If you look at what the malls charge you, they're charging you about 60% for space which doesn't exist, which is a bit of a con, but that's how it is. Yeah, they do. That's a fact. I mean, at some other time we can go into that. It's a bit of a long story, but that's how it is. So therefore, every bit of space in your store is of critical importance. How you plan, how you display, how you present your products, etc., etc. So yeah. So next, please. Yeah. So this is basically a schematic of a typical store. So we have stock, service, staff, space, increase transaction value, and increase the conversion of sale. Increase your visit frequency and increase the number of customers. So very quickly, I'll go through each of them. The stock obviously has to do with the depth of stock, which is how many SKUs you have and what's your stocking level in the stores. Now, another thing which I think a lot of people will understand, empathize with, is the way stock is displayed in stores. Now, if you look at some stores, there's a lot of stock. In some stores, there's less. Typically, the luxury brands tend to have lesser stock and more of visual merchandising display. So you'll have a couple of stock pieces and you'll have a lot of props around it, which will attract you towards that stock, which you don't have in a lot of other categories. So that is one. But again, that depends on what category you are in, what products you're selling. There's also a lot of visual displays which come into the picture these days. People are increasingly using screens. Earlier, it was all static displays. Now people are using screens, to communicate. If you look at, and especially it started, I think, in these restaurants, McDonald's and KFC, etc., where you have, you can actually see the steam coming out of the food, which is really nice. It attracts you, and you probably pick up more than what you would have normally taken. So that's one part. And can we have the slide back? Yeah. Second is service, which again goes along with staff. Now, staff is something which I've always believed is of huge and critical importance. I remember looking at some data which said that most customers don't come back to a particular store because the staff has been particularly bad with them. They didn't understand what they wanted. They couldn't convince them to buy, or they just couldn't reply properly. So it was a fairly high percentage. I think it was about 50 or 60%. So staff will obviously flow the service. Then we come to space. So layout is important, and in one of our next slides you'll see how layout is important. I'll deal with it at that point. Increasing transaction value, and this is what has to do with add-on sales. So if you go to a shopper stop, you pick up a pair of trousers and a formal shirt. The staff there should try to sell you maybe handkerchiefs, cufflinks, a belt, shoes, etc., etc. So the role of the staff is to try to increase the value of each the ticket value of each transaction. Then you come to increase sales conversion. So when you actually get customers who would come with something in mind to buy, and then you actually convert them into buying many more products. Increasing the frequency of visit. Now, when you how does this happen? It's not something which is so easy, but it will happen when the customer's experience in the store has been more than what they expected. So if I delight my customer, they will come back. And then, of course, the last point, which is increased number of customers, which comes from the previous point. So yeah, so I think each part, it's important to understand that each part of the store experience of the customer. And I would also like to add here that there are certain things which you cannot experience online. Take cosmetics, for example. I cannot give the experience of a fragrance to my customer. Maybe in the future you'll have a device which can release some mist or something which you can smell. But at this point, I can't do that. So if I have a customer who wants to smell the aroma of any of my cosmetic products, they have to come to the store, or the spa. They can't do it online. So that's something which you can only do in a store. You can try on your shoes, you can try on. So there are a lot of advantages which a store has, which you cannot do online. So today people are going online because they have no choice. But again, I think they will be back, and probably they'll be back with a vengeance once once everything opens up. Okay, so then we come to the customer journey. Can you put the full screen, please? It's a little, yeah. Okay. So now again, there are various parts of this journey. So as a retailer, I need to understand what my customer is looking for. I need to understand, and when we come to research, I'll talk a little more about it. We need to understand, how they think. Very, very important, how they think. And today, more than ever, the customer has a lot of options. They have options of checking your prices online. They have options of checking other products online. They have options of looking at other stores selling the same kind of product in the same mall, for example, or also online. So you can't, sorry to use the word, you can't bullshit. You cannot. You have to be on your feet. You have to be very clear of what your proposition is. And if you're charging a premium, the reason for that premium should be very clear. The customer should see value in that premium. Otherwise, there's no point. Okay, so coming back to this principle too, which is understanding the customer journey. Outside the store, you have to attract attention. So the show window, what you display in your show window, how you communicate it, it has to be beautiful, it has to be vibrant, it has to probably communicate a price. Maybe it has to use a screen, there has to be some props, etc. Maybe your best product. So that's where you intrigue the customer. So even if I'm not thinking of coming into your store, a good show window will at least ensure that I enter the store. I may not buy anything at the end of the day. I might buy it later. I may go online and buy it from your company website, but at least I will get interested in considering that particular product or service. So that happens when the window is good. You impress, invite, and guide the customer at the threshold, which is just as you enter the store. And when you get inside the store, you need to inspire and educate the customer with the beauty of your visual merchandising, with categorization of a product clearly marked out. You need to have smiling staff, well groomed, well dressed, speaking well. Very, very important, because I won't name the name the retailer, but they're quite a premium retailer. But if you look at the way their staff speak, it's quite embarrassing, and it's not really in line with the in sync with what the brand promises. So I think that is also really important, and I think it is worth paying a little more money for staff who are expensive, a little better educated, and people who can actually speak well and convince people to buy a product. Yeah, let's go to the next one. Okay. So now this has to do with obviously the store planning, and yes, there's another slide a little later. But when you enter the store, as we say, each store has a strategic role to return maximum value. As I mentioned earlier, every square inch, not even every square foot, every square inch of space is important. So every part of the store has to sell something, has to be of some use and some function to the retailer and to the customer. Customers have to be directed through the space so that they pass through in the right way. They get exposed to all the merchandise which is on display. There should not be too many blind spots and cul-de-sacs and blind alleys, etc. there has to be clear sightlines, except in categories like FMCG and supermarkets, where you have to have very high shelving, which you cannot see. All other stores should have fixtures, floor fixtures, which are just maybe just about 4.5 feet high, and not more than that. And categories and adjacencies are again important, so that the right products and the complementary products are placed next to each other. So this is again very basic stuff, but a lot of retailers fail to understand this, and then it reflects in their ultimate sales figures which come out of the store. Next, please. So back to COVID. So the COVID conundrum, I think today we have to, most retailers have to recast their business model and customer approach. So let me tell you what we have done in SpaCeylon. We have a couple of retail stores which are owned by franchisees across the country. As of now, all those are closed. Some of them are spas. Spas are closed in any case because of the personal touch, and and you can't possibly give a foot massage from 6 feet away. So this is something which obviously the social distancing thing has struck. So this is one part. So what we are doing is, in SpaCeylon, we are focusing only on our online business right now. We've engaged deeply with Amazon to do promotions and combo packs and all sorts of offers. Nykaa, we are already on Nykaa, but we've sort of entered a new agreement with them, and there's a particular way we are doing it. There's going to be there'll be a SpaCeylon store on Amazon, which is an exclusive dedicated store for our product. So while our stores are closed and while our franchisees are closed, the customer can go to Amazon and pick up stock. We are revamping our own website, which I think in the next 2 weeks will be completely done, with completely refreshed look and feel, etc., etc. Redo your merchandise mix. Now, this is something again which is interesting. It probably doesn't apply to everybody, but in some categories you have to look at what sells more and try to sell more of that, rather than focusing on things which used to sell, and sell it online as far as possible. Today, I don't think, because of the COVID, no brand can not afford to have an e-commerce presence. Every single brand has to have e-commerce. They have to sell online and keep the customers alive and interested in them while their stores are closed. So if I'm a brand whose stores are closed or people are not visiting, if I don't go online and I don't present myself there and sell my product, you obviously will not sell as much as you did earlier, from your physical stores online. But you have to be there, and you have to keep customers engaged. You have to keep talking to them through your app and through your other channels, WhatsApp, etc., social media. Keep talking to them, keep giving them offers, keep giving them ideas, give them gyan. Like we have to keep talking to them about beauty and what's good for your skin and what's good for your face, and etc., etc. So that's the way you have to keep them engaged, keep them busy, so to speak, and hope that they buy something till your stores open. That's very, very important. And ultimately, when your stores do open, I would, although it is going to cost money, which is inevitable, but stores have to be refreshed in whatever way possible. The customers have to see that in these 6 months or 8 months or whatever time it takes to reopen, you have been at work. You've been thinking of how to serve them better. You've been thinking of how to give them some promotions. Now everything isn't about discounts. I mean, you can talk of 50%, 70%, all that. And I don't think everybody wants discounts either. There is a time and place for discounts, for deep discounting. Every month of the year is not the time for deep discounting. And if you do that, the brand is going to die anyway. You can't give 50% discount and survive your business. It can be done maybe once or twice a year, not more than that. So the last point is important, because customers are looking for something new, something different, and I'm not looking for a board which says 70% off on all merchandise. I would not be looking for that. I would be looking for new products, for something different, some new fashion, or maybe some combination packs, or I don't know. I mean, there's so many things which marketing people can think of. So this is something which I think all retailers will have to work on, and I'm sure at least all the ones worth their salt are already working on it, in terms of what to do when you open your stores. Because when you do open your stores, what's going to happen is a couple of things. Every store entrance has to have sanitizing liquid. Every store entrance has to have a thermometer and that SpO2 meter. Your staff has to be trained on how to take those readings and figure out what what is wrong and what is not. You have to have a stock of masks. If a customer forgets a mask, you have to hand over the mask to them to wear. You have to be polite, and you have to explain to the customer when they enter the store that please don't go too close to others, maintain a distance of so many feet. Somebody has to be at the entrance to control the flow of customers into the store. So all that is going to change. Life is going to change, at least even when you open the store for the next few months, till this damn COVID is gone. We'll have to do all this. There is no choice. There is no choice. Otherwise, I'm not going to enter a store which has just thrown the doors open and I see a huge crowd inside, people not wearing masks. I'm not going to enter that store. I'm very clear about that. So yeah, so any good retailer has to take note of all these things.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So then coming to the 6 components of the store experience and retail, so to speak. I think I've explained most of them earlier, but I will again, there are some points which I need to elaborate on. So let's go to research. Now, research is, I think it's really important. Consumer research. Can we go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So research, and there are of course several types of research which a brand can do. Now at this point, international benchmarking is important, because what is my competition doing in a difficult age, in a difficult time? You may not want to copy, but you may want to understand what they're doing and then try to do something different, or try to do something a little more unique. Quanti and quali research has its time and place, not really at this time, but especially when you're launching a new brand, you're launching new products, you're launching a new set of stores, a new concept. That's when consumer research is really important. Traffic flow and window research has to do mostly with a store which is already in operation, so I won't really talk about it too much right now. But today, when brands have their own app, I should be able to send a small survey to my customers through the app. So today, send a survey to my customers saying that what are you looking for in the post-COVID era? What are your concerns? What would you like to see? What would you not like to see? Do you have any other feedback for us? So especially now, it's important to, as I said earlier, reach out to your customers, engage with them. Don't be overbearing. I mean, there are some brands who keep on bombarding you with emailers and WhatsApp things every week, which really gets a little too much. But there has to be a limit to what you can do in terms of engage with your customers. But engage, you must engage to a point that they don't get fed up of you.
Quick question. Sorry to interrupt you. Yeah,
yes.
Question over here. You see, not every retailer would have the wherewithal to do this kind of research. Or so, are there any methods or other maybe places where they can go and get this kind of data? I understand that the relevancy of the data would still be an issue, because what may work for one particular type of store may not work for the other. But then every retail store, as you walk out on the street, would probably not have access to that kind of research data. So what other options do they have for such stores to get this kind of retail data? What's your suggestion on that?
Well, I think Google is one good source, although it won't be a very you won't get too much of information, but you will get some information. But I think it's very simple. Any brand who is not tracking their customer data today, they should have the customer name, they should have the customer phone number, at least, if not the email ID. These two basic points, every single brand who values their customers and who wants customers to be loyal to them should have. And through that, there's something very simple called SurveyMonkey, which I'm sure you're aware of. There are other survey sites. You can make a small survey, send it to your customers. All of them may not fill it up, but at least you'll get an idea of what they're thinking. That's an easy, cheap, quick method. You can even give them an incentive if you fill the survey next time you come, or you give them a coupon code for going online and picking up a product at some discount, or give them something free, send them something free in the courier or whatever. So this is not something difficult. It's actually quite easy if you put your mind to it. It's pretty easy to do. in terms of asking customers what they want and what they're expecting to see in my store, or even see online in while this whole COVID thing is going on. So it's not difficult. You need to just apply your mind and do it. So international benchmarking is something which one needs to look at. International or national. I mean, international is more of a buzzword. It could be national benchmarking, where you look at other stores, what they're doing. It doesn't have to be only your category of product or service. It can be anything. But there's always things to be learned. And if you do a benchmarking study, and a lot of agencies offer this, it's really something which gives you a lot of insights into what you can do to improve your customer experience and your store experience. Yeah, next.
Yes, planning. Okay, my bad.
Yeah. Okay. So planning, again, as I mentioned in one of the earlier slides, this has to go more with space planning, and we have a slide after this, please, if you can. Yeah. So here, if you look on the left of the screen in front of you, this is called zoning. So you actually create zones. Or this is when you're planning the store, you create zones in the store where you actually plan what has to come in that particular zone. And if you look on the right side, then you have the categories which are marked on the floor plan, which gives you what categories come into each zone. So this is something, again, very basic, which all retailers would need to follow, and retailers who have been doing this obviously will be familiar with this kind of stuff. So you have to do micro floor plans, macro floor plans. How will the traffic flow in the store? Where are your products categorized? Where are your feature zones, your service areas? Because, for example, in the Apple store, you have service and product both. In a SpaCeylon, for example, we've got product and we have service in the spas, in not all of them, but some of them. So therefore, this is again important, and all this is a sum total of the entire consumer experience when he comes into your store. Yeah, let's go next, please. Component number 3 is design, and yeah. So from the from the floor layout and from the categorization and the space planning, we come to design. Now, the design concept has to obviously flow from what your brand stands for. What are you looking at, offering your customers? Is it a value brand? Is it a premium brand? So based on this, your fixtures and all your and your furniture will be designed and decided. Next, please. Yeah. So if you look at this, the previous one showed you what is typically called a floor fixture, or it could also be called a gondola in many ways. This is a wall fixture, which is typically fixed on the wall, which has beautiful visual merchandising. It's easy to use. This is obviously a store which is selling phones and tablets and stuff. So this is something which, again, has to be very clearly in sync with your brand concept. Your brand colors have to be used. They have to be, everything has to be synergistic, and it has to match modular furniture, etc., etc. So this is the beauty of design, which can then transform your vision of a store into something where customers will go in and say, wow, what a beautiful store this is. And when you enter a store which looks beautiful, you automatically, you don't even need a salesperson then to to actually give you give you some sales talk. But in many ways, you would pick up the products yourself. Next, please. Then the material board. Again, this also has to be in sync with your brand ethos. Things like materials, colors, textures, your tiles. Are you going to use tiles? Are you going to use wooden floors? Are you going to use a carpet? What's your ceiling design going to be like? What are the other things in the store which, paneling, wood finishes, etc., etc. So all this has to be in sync, and a good store concept and a good design has to have all these critical elements and ingredients. And the communication elements. Now, this is probably even more important than the design, because this is something which will keep changing over time. Because these are your VMQs. They are posters. You have models on them. You have your merchandise on them, which will keep changing from time to time, price, etc. So where these are placed in the store, in the window, how large they are, how attractive they all contribute to getting people to try and ultimately buy your product. Next, please. Yeah. And then this is what a detailed drawing of a store. I mean, it's actually quite complicated. If I had to do a, like a, if I had to do a, say, 3 or 4 thousand square feet store, I would have a huge book of all the drawings and the material board, and then the drawings for the air conditioning layout, the electrical layout, firefighting, CCTV cameras, etc., etc. It's huge. So there's a lot of work involved in all this, and it's very scientific. It's very time consuming. Then from these drawings, the whichever company is doing the interiors, they then execute the store. And this is again very basic retail stuff, and all retailers have done it. But what I'm trying to say here is, if you don't plan this well, and if it's not done in the right way with a company or a brand which has good experience in doing it, then you end up with something which is not so great. Implementation, it's always good. And we, in all my past experiences, we've always done what is called a pilot store. So you've created a design concept using everything which I just explained, and then you do a pilot store. A pilot store is a store which is like a guinea pig. So you set it up with what you think you have, which was going to work for you. And the pilot store always serves to look at things which may not work for you. So they could be, the ergonomics of the furniture, or the layout itself, or the visual merchandising, or the traffic flow in the store. And it gives you an opportunity to course correct, rather than take a design concept which is only on paper and then roll it out in maybe 10, 15, 20 stores without testing it out, which is also an important thing, because rollout is important, but rollout without a pilot, I would not recommend. So you could do a couple of pilots. You don't have to do one pilot. You can do one each in a few cities, so that you get a better feel of things in terms of different geographies, etc. But a pilot store is something really important to execute when you're especially looking at a big network. Next. And then coming to the shopping center experience, I think we have another slide now. Yeah. So, when a brand has to select a store in a shopping center or a mall, if you like, where your store is again very important. It shouldn't be in one corner where a lot of people don't go. A lot of the times the mall has a store available, and then they try to give you that store. Now, that's something which in most cases you should not be doing, because it's probably a store which has closed down for the same reason. So, it's better to go to a mall when the mall is coming up, book your store, and then get into it. So where the store is in a mall, the physical location of the store in a mall, what's next to you, which are the brands next to you, what's opposite, is it visible from many places? That's important, and that's something which a good retail manager should be able to identify. Yeah. And the last one is about retail tech. And again, I've mentioned this earlier, but today it's increasingly important to look at and use as much as possible screens, easy POS. In some stores, a customer can do their own checkouts, customer loyalty program through the app. Now today, an app can give you even a CLP. So if I take Shopper Stop, for example, the Shopper Stop app, I think it's called Golden Glow or something, their customer program. They have, in that app, I can collect points, I can redeem points, I can see merchandise, I can shop online. So that's a really good app. So it's something which most people, if not all retailers, should aim to have. And there are a lot of other apps also which are really good, but this one just came to mind. So keep engaging with your customers, and there are notifications there. You can send them notification. You can send them polls, like I said earlier. Ask them what they want. Get their sense of what's going on, what they would like to see, etc. So customer engagement, especially in this time, is even more important than it was earlier. So if I were to end this section, I think customer engagement is something which customer engagement, understanding the customer, um, figuring out what they want, empathizing with them also, and making them comfortable when they will come to visit your stores. And that's something which you have to communicate. So if I'm opening my stores or my cinemas or whatever in the next 3 months, I should start building it up from now and start saying that these are the steps I'm going to be taking. You'll be safe, etc., etc. So, yep.
Okay, so we also, I think you prepared also a case study taking into account what you've done and been able to do at SpaCeylon. So move over to that.
Yes. Okay,
so before,
this is
just about SpaCeylon and the positioning where it is. There are a lot of luxury brands.
Yeah. Next slide, please. Okay. So SpaCeylon is not, it's a very young brand. It's just around 10 years old. It is originally from Sri Lanka, which is arguably a small country in Asia. But in the short period of time, it has become the world's largest and fastest growing luxury Ayurveda brand. Now, what is luxury Ayurveda? Luxury Ayurveda is exactly what it says. It's the luxury version of Ayurveda. So Ayurveda is, if we consider the Kerala Ayurveda model, most of what comes to mind is not very pleasant aromas. Of course, they are all medicinal stuff mainly, but in SpaCeylon or brands like Forest Essentials or Kama Ayurveda, these are brands which have used the fragrance and combined with the Ayurveda, recipe, so to speak, to create a brand which you can use on, bath and body, skincare, etc., etc. So SpaCeylon started about 10 years back. Today, we have more than 100 stores in 25 countries globally. The brand is probably, after Dilma Tea from Sri Lanka, probably the most well-known brand, the Sri Lankan brand across the world. And it's also been a winner of prestigious awards for both products and services. So, we are firmly positioned as a luxury brand. We have almost 200 SKUs across, body, bath, skincare, home aroma, hand care, foot care, etc., etc. It's a huge range which is all there on the website. So anyone who wants to have a look can go to the website and see. SpaCeylon is also one of the very few brands who's got both a service and a product side. So we have a very well evolved service side, although all our stores do not contain the service side, which is the spa. The brand is called SpaCeylon, but the products are also called SpaCeylon. So it's a spa, you can call it a spa brand if you like, but it's also a spa brand, but it's also not a spa brand because it has a huge number of products. So, and it didn't make sense to have a separate brand for the products and keep SpaCeylon as the spa. So, and I think it's the brand imagery. If you look at our stores, you look at the spas, and when we go through the pictures in the coming slides, you'll see how luxurious it is. It's positioned as a brand where it's meant for royalty, from the palaces of ancient Ceylon. All the Rajas and Maharajas of Ceylon used to use these some of these formulae to to pamper themselves. So this is what SpaCeylon is all about, and it's a brand which has come up entirely by itself, and the founders and the brand owners in Sri Lanka, my colleagues Shalin Balasuri and Shivanta Dias, they have themselves created this brand, and I think for a small country like Sri Lanka, it's a phenomenal achievement, in terms of the retail concept and also in terms of the products themselves, the packaging, etc. So if you look at this is what the store looks like. So on the left and right, you see the screens, or these screens will keep showing different imagery of the brand. There'll be products, there'll be models, there'll be talking about the services, etc. If you see the store, you've got a beautiful chandelier, you've got very vibrant and colorful interior. Let's go to the next. Yeah. So these are the products. This is the product display. Now, who would not want to buy? I mean, it almost looks like food, right? It looks like some nice confectionery or cakes, or some nice chocolates in a box. But these are hand creams. So these are how we sell our hand creams in some of our larger stores. So this is also a good example of a good visual merchandising. So if you look at it, it's so beautiful, and you'd really want to pick up these products and try them out, even if you're a first time customer. So this is what good VM is all about. Now again, coming to show windows, if you look at these show windows have a mix of screens and products displayed in them. Now this is also the exterior of one of our stores in a mall, and you cannot not be impressed, and you cannot not want to enter this store when as you walk past, even if you're not specifically looking for a Ayurveda cosmetic product from SpaCeylon. This is again an example of our one of our stores. This is the Royal Spa and Store in Colombo. If you look straight ahead, there's a throne. So a lot of customers actually go there and sit on the throne and get selfies and pictures taken. So this store is very luxurious. There's a lot of space. There's not too much of stock. There is sufficient stock, but it's not overbearing. The staff are not in your face. So all this all goes to contribute to the premium and exclusive nature of a brand like SpaCeylon. This is our foot spa, also in Colombo. So if you look at it here, this is something which, again, when you enter the foot spa, there's very low ambient lighting. There are lotus flowers everywhere. There is music played, we have our own SpaCeylon music, which has been specially composed for us. We don't borrow any music from anyone else, so it's our own music. Our staff are trained in our own therapies by ourselves. You will get a foot massage, but in our foot massages, there are 7 SpaCeylon products which are used in one foot massage. So you'll use a balm, you'll use a foot scrub, you'll use a shower gel to wash your feet, you'll use a body lotion, you'll use an oil, etc., etc. So whereas other foot massages may use just one oil and one powder, and that's it. So we actually pamper and really treat our customers like royalty. So this is the brand ethos, this is the positioning of the brand, and it reflects completely in the whole retail experience. Now this is the couple room in another of our spas in Colombo. If you see, it's not a gold plated, but it's almost like a gold plated bathtub. So this is a couple massage room where their couple is pampered from head to toe, again in a very luxurious setting. Now these are some of the imagery, visual imagery of the brand, where we have products, and we have a pretty model who's obviously been using our products, whether it's for skin or hair or whatever. So this is the virgin coconut range, which we don't sell yet in India because we need a special license for it. So we are going to get it in the next couple of months. But this is the imagery of the brand, and this is what we put out on social media. This is also there in some of our in-store posters, etc. Next, please. Yeah. So again, these are all the different kind of visuals we have for the brand. These are just a couple of them. There are many more. If you go to the website, also you'll see quite a few of them. And if you see on the right, there's this lady sitting on the throne. So again, royalty, pampering. Every woman deserves luxury. Every woman deserves soothing. The hair range, etc., etc. So this is what the brand stands for. This is what the brand has achieved in this very short period of time. And I'm very proud to be associated with this brand as the joint venture partner for India. This is our new store design, and in sync with what the brand stands for, the brand ethos, and everything is colorful. And this is what we call the palace art concept, and it's supposed to be from the ancient palace, the royal palaces of ancient Ceylon. And this is and most of our new stores will come up looking this way. Yes. Okay. Forward to your questions. I think we've gone 10 minutes over the schedule.
So no, but that was very interesting. See what thanks for sharing what you've done at SpaCeylon. I had a very different question, with your permission. So the thing is, I'm intrigued by the fact that they decided to have the same brand name for the product and the service. So it must have taken them a lot of how shall I say, guts to stick with it in terms of, because you have a brand name which says SpaCeylon, and you're doing spas and you're providing service, and then you say, no, I'm going to put this same word, on the product and sell it. So was there some kind of, deliberate thought process? Because generally the fact is, you have horses for courses, and, you would have a separate brand name for a product and a service.
Well, interestingly, and unfortunately, Charlene is not on the call, but what I know of what happened was the product was launched first with the name SpaCeylon. Yes, the spas came later, and the spas came again.
Inspired service.
Yes, so the product was launched as SpaCeylon. I would think it would have been for to use it at home, pamper yourself at home, etc. And then and it was launched only in Sri Lanka first. For a couple of years it stayed within the country, and I think after about 3 years is when they ventured out. They came to India, they went to Singapore, China, etc., etc. And now also in Europe. Europe is not an easy market. I mean, believe me, Europe, for them to get into Europe, permissions and trade barriers, etc. It's a huge achievement for a non-European, non-American brand, especially from Asia, and especially from a small country, to get into Europe. So, which has come in the past 2 years. But coming back to the origin, so SpaCeylon was launched as a product brand and not a spa brand. And again, it's, I think, because of the engagement with the customers, with our consumers, when they told us, why don't you also look at opening spas? That's when the whole spa concept came into the picture, because then the product started getting used in the spas. So that's how it evolved. And then today we've got, we call our treatments rituals. We don't even call them massages. You don't go to a spa salon for a massage. It is a ritual because it starts with an elaborate, it's an elaborate process, and there's a check-in card, and you're escorted to the room by someone. Then the person who actually does the ritual is someone else, and it goes, etc., etc. So it's a long thing. Then it ends with a nice refreshment tray with special Sri Lankan jaggery and cut fruits and herbal tea, etc. So although some others also do this, but I think we were probably one of the first to pioneer this kind of thing. So it's a whole experience. And our spas right now here are closed, but and so are they in Sri Lanka, because everything is shut. But when they do open, I would urge anyone who's watching and who wants to be pampered like royalty, who can they can go and avail of the
sit on the throne.
Yes.
Okay, so the other question that comes up, if a Sri Lankan brand can make a Sri Lankan retail brand can make so much of a headway all across the world, what's your take on Indian retail brands doing that worldwide? So have we really made a dent in different countries in the western part of the world? Indian retail brands, are there some brands whom you can single out and say that, okay, these particular retail brands have actually really done it right for, let's say, the US or Europe? Indian brands.
Well, not really. I think the only Indian brand which is not really a brand is Indian food, chicken tikka masala.
Oh yeah,
in Europe and everywhere. No, but jokes apart, I think there is a huge opportunity for India. No, India is well known overseas, no doubt. Ayurveda, yoga, food, but there is no brand. And if I go back to Sri Lanka for a minute, if you look at, there are these 3 or 4 brands from Sri Lanka which have really made it on the world stage. Dilma Tea.
Dilma Tea.
Yeah. Dilma Tea, I mean, is available in hotels across the world. I mean, I've met them, and Dilan Fernando is a Facebook friend, and I do chat with him. Very, very progressive person. So they are in some 80 countries across the world, and not now. I mean, they've been there for years. SpaCeylon is in 25 countries, 100 stores, etc. So it's not difficult. It only needs planning, clarity of purpose. Although some of our, I would say our two-wheeler brands are some of, like Mahindra's has done well. Bajaj Auto has done well, but they're not. I wouldn't call them a retail brand. Tea is a retail, spa is a retail. Automotive is different. Buying Land Rover doesn't make you an Indian brand overseas. But there is huge opportunity. I would say brands who are selling Indian garments, Indian apparel, kurtas, saris, Indian jewelry. I mean, that could be an opportunity. There are jewelry stores everywhere in the world, but Indian jewelry is different. So, and it's not only for Indian customers. And I mean, Titan has got Tanishq. What stops them from going overseas? I mean, I would look at Forest Essentials. Forest Essentials is I'm not sure how many stores they have overseas, but they're definitely not as big as SpaCeylon. And Forest Essentials is a much older company than us. It's a 20-year, maybe 20, 25 years.
Interestingly, there's a question which mentions that the same gentleman who's asked, in terms of brand promise, what's the USP and how is it different from Sri Lanka over here, SpaCeylon? I think that's what the question is about.
No. No, it's definitely not different. It's the same product. We do not manufacture here. SpaCeylon is exported to all the countries across the world from one single location. So there's complete consistency of quality, consistency of packaging, everything. So we don't manufacture here. Whatever is sold in Sri Lanka is also sold in India. We import and sell over here. So the USP, the brand promise, everything is exactly the same. There's no difference.
Okay. Interestingly, the same gentleman mentioned Forest Essentials also.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So Forest Essentials. Okay. Let me put it this way. You have L'Occitane, which is a French brand. Now, L'Occitane is probably one of the most expensive. A shower gel would cost you, I don't know now. The last time I checked, I think it was some 1,700, 2,000, whatever. Our shower gels are at about 1,100 to 1,300. Forest Essentials pretty similar, but I think we give a little more volume for the same price. So we have a little better value in terms of that. So if a Forest Essentials product is, X price, they have a slightly lesser volume than us. Kama is much below Forest Essential in their pricing. So each brand has a different, price point. But if you're asking me who's the closest to us, it's Forest Essentials in terms of the price point.
Okay. In terms of your own approach for SpaCeylon in this, preparing for, let's say, the unlock, the complete unlock that is going to happen after this COVID pandemic. So what steps has SpaCeylon taken, not just in India here, but around the world? And are those steps similar? So because, for instance, the stores would have closed in a greater part of Europe also, of course in Sri Lanka also, and of course in India also. But when they open up, is the approach going to be different for India, Sri Lanka, and Europe?
I think it will be now, and then for the simple reason that local regulations are different in every city, every country. Most of the stores in Europe, as far as I know, have been reopened already. They've been following the standard sanitization, mask, etc. In Sri Lanka, the stores are open, the spas are not open yet, for the same reason of social distancing, etc. Although I think in some places the foot massages have opened, if I'm not mistaken. The stores are open, but because there are no tourists coming to Sri Lanka, the flights are stopped. It's only local customers who are preferring to buy online. Some of them are coming to the stores, but it's in different stages of opening across the world. But I think the template will be pretty much the same in terms of following the guidelines of the local authority and all that. So in India, whenever we open, we will be following the same thing which we've mentioned about sanitization, checking temperature, SpO2, mask, etc. Maintaining social distancing in the store. So earlier, if we could have 10 people in a store of 400 square feet, now we'll probably have 5, and the others will unfortunately have to wait outside. But that's something which everybody is going to get used to, at least for the next few months after we open. So
you actually think that when the next time, of course, when the malls open up and we start going out, you probably have to wait in queue outside a store to get it, and that's a pretty good likelihood.
I think that's it's unavoidable. Wow. I mean, but I'll just give you an example of Starbucks. Now, Starbucks has opened, probably about a month back, or a little over a month. So they are people are not allowed to sit in the restaurants, in the cafes, but they're open for takeaway. But the one just close by here near my office is in Bandra, on near Tawa restaurant. And yesterday evening, actually, just yesterday, I saw there was people were standing in a queue. You enter and pay at the same cash counter, but then you have to come out and sit outside and wait to be served, or served as in served your package. And there were, I think, 6 or 7 people in line going outside onto the footpath.
Oh,
But then
okay.
again, that's life. I mean, that's life now. You can't get away from it.
So
And if
that's something else.
if
And
we have to be careful. And I would like to say this, and this has got nothing to do with retail or today's discussion. It's unfortunate that we all see, and I'm sure all of us have seen, people outside, walking around without masks, or wearing the mask like this, below the nose. I mean, you have to cover the nose and mouth. What's the point?
exactly.
It makes no sense. Either you wear the mask or you don't wear it. You can't wear it on your chin. You can't wear it here. You have to just cover your mouth and nose. So if people don't understand, it's they are bound to, at some point, the infection is there, they're going to get infected. So you have to be careful. You have to be very, very careful. You have to keep I keep a
And
bottle of sanitizer in my pocket all the time. I'm obsessed with it now. I just keep putting it in my hand and keep rubbing my every time I'm out of
yeah,
my car.
because the issue, rightly, Sanjeev, is that not only do you need to protect yourself, you also need to make sure that you're protecting the people around you. So
Exactly.
you may have a great immunity, but you may come home, and if there's an elderly person in the house, that's somebody, or in your building, you may probably transmit it there. So yeah. So I think, yes, we
Absolutely.
need to be careful.
Yeah.
And I think the challenge is going to be in getting this message across to everyone down the line, right down to the last person in the remotest village also, because it's not that that person is completely insulated from what's happening here. So I think
Yeah.
retail is going to change everywhere, and there's going to be a big challenge for all the retailers, to get back. A few of the audience, have been putting in some comments, not really questions, but I think this is a comment when you said that it'll probably take us 6 to 18 months to
Well,
uh, to get back.
Rajesh Asher, Mr. Asher, we honestly, did we even think in the month of March, when the lockdown,
Yeah,
even, I mean, the Prime Minister said 21 days.
yeah.
I thought, okay, 21 days, whatever, but I thought it'll be 2 months, honestly. But now we are in the sixth month. So, it's,
No,
and
nobody knows.
everything is still shut. I mean, our clubs are shut, our cinemas are shut. What do you expect? I mean, and we are adding 80,000 cases a day. I mean, what do you, it's really tragic, and I think we will become number two in the world very soon. It's no achievement, but I think people are unfortunately not observing what, even after all this, like Sandeep was saying, after so much of pain and knowing so many people have died, got infected, we are almost at 40 lakh cases in India. People are still walking around with their mask below their nose, below their mouth. I mean, it's nonsense, and
I guess.
it's up to us as citizens to observe it, so that this damn virus doesn't spread. It's up to us. But unfortunately, a lot of people are not understanding that. I mean, there's little you can do. How much can you control, and what can the government also do at the end of the day? People are not observing the rules. You can't do beyond the point. You can't.
We can't make it a police state. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
We have to have discipline. And so a few of the audience members are just wanting to drop in and say
Hello,
hello.
Mahesh.
Yeah,
Lakshman.
so, Lakshman
Hi, Lakshman.
and
Hi.
yeah, Kaushambi. Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. And I think they like it
Thank
too.
you.
Right. Okay. So I guess Sanjeev, so that's just about it for now. And thank you for joining us, and went into an extended session. But
Yeah. It's like 1 hour 8 minutes.
like you and all the other retailers out there, and I'm sure it's really, really very tough for all of y'all. And there will be a lot more that you guys will have to really put on your thinking caps, to make sure that it's a good experience to get us consumers back in the stores. It's not just about you and the retailers, trying to make a living, but it's also about the experience that the consumers have, and the confidence that gets built over time. So I think it's a real challenge for the retail world out there, but it's not that this challenge cannot be overcome. So I think there is enough of thinking that can go into getting us back and getting us safe. So thank you for sharing your ideas with us.
Absolutely. I think I would like to end by saying that I think this whole experience has made everyone, I would say, wiser. Um, yes, we are definitely poorer because salaries have been cut, revenues have been cut. But I think it's also taught us an important lesson of how
Uh-huh.
to deal with such situations. I mean, it's a there's this English term, baptism by fire. This has been literally a baptism by
Absolutely.
fire for
For
everybody,
everyone.
especially
For
retail.
everyone. Yeah.
every except Amazon. Amazon is laughing all the way to the bank. Amazon, Amazon, and all the most of the e-commerce sites, and even the logistics companies. I mean, logistics and courier are all doing, as they say in Gujarati, jalso. Because I mean, everybody's delivering, everybody's buying online, and things are getting delivered. So, but jokes apart, I think as an experience, it's been a huge learning. I don't think anyone in business would have learned as much in these 6 months as they would have learned maybe in not 60 years, but 16 or 20 years before this.
Yeah,
and you have to think, what do you do? What the hell do you do to get customers back? What the hell do you do to improve your business?
Makes you go back. Yeah, makes you go back to your basic strategy and relook at how things are, because things are different.
Things have drastically changed. So but anyway, I think whoever's watching the show, I would say thank you so much. All retailers and anyone in business, I would just say good luck, all the best. Save cash for now. Save your cash as much as you can. I mean, if you have to cut your rent and cut salaries, there's no choice. Cut your own salary, cut everything. Just keep cutting till conserve your cash, and but what's that to live another day?
Yeah. Yeah.
There is no choice. Right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sandeep, and thank you all the audience. All the best.
So thanks, Sandeep. Don't go away. I'll just end the broadcast. Hang on.
Yeah.